Welcome, everybody. The NFL season is over, which means it's time to look ahead to the 2023 NFL Draft. We're going to be doing a mock draft series where we go through every single NFL team and go through what they might do in an NFL mock draft. I'm Joe with the Game House, and today the Dallas Cowboys are on the clock. All right, as mentioned, the Dallas Cowboys are on the clock in our mock draft series. They're a team that has had their playoff struggles in the past couple years, but they've been very aggressive this offseason. They've cut running back Ezekiel Elliott. His cap hit was too high, so they're going with Tony Pollard, who's on the franchise tag. They traded for Brandon Cooks. They traded for Stephon Gilmore. It looks like they're a team who wants to compete. They saw their division rival, the Eagles, get to the Super Bowl. They're trying to do the same thing for the first time in a long, long time since the 90s. So we'll see what they can do. They do have the pick number 26 in the first round. Just before we get started here, we're going to be using the NFL Mock Draft Database Simulator. I like it. It's got all the players based on big boards around the internet. Some guys might fall in this mock draft. But at the end of the day, I do like it. I think it's a good exercise here. So let's get started with the Cowboys and pick number 26. Again, we might see some people fall. We see Bryce Young falling pretty hard right now. That may not affect us when we get down to 26. At least I'd hope not. I hope someone would take him by then. But it looks like there's plenty of quarterbacks available. We have Anthony Richardson and Will Levis available for the Cowboys if they wanted to. That is a suggestion by them, not by me. When you have a team like that, there are a lot of people who want to take Bijan Robinson for the Cowboys. And look, I mean, if he's here, I think you definitely consider it. But we've seen how running backs go in the NFL in terms of first-round running backs. I think he's a top 5 player in the class. But Tony Pollard played so well last year. I don't think they'd go that route. Jerry Jones, you never know. That might be something that kind of really helps that offense that he really wants to do. What I'm looking for is their interior defensive line depth right now is kind of thin. They have Jonathan Hankins, who they want to bring back. They have some other guys they want to bring back. But I think Brian Brzee, who did not have the greatest year last year, is a good pick. He had a lot of off-the-field issues. His sister passed away from cancer. But at the end of the day, I think he's a guy who, if you watch his tape from before this past season, he did a lot of good for Clemson over his career. Very athletic player. If you get him at 26, you plug him in a line where he's not even close to being the focus when you have Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. I think he really helps your team. Now, if they do bring Hankins back and they do bring some other defensive linemen in free agency, that's still ongoing for the next month. Maybe they go with Bijan Robinson. Maybe they really try to build this thing out and really have a really good attack. But for the time being, we're going to go with Brian Brzee. All right, so the next one up. This is tough because I have mocked Adetomiwa Adebawore to the Cowboys, my latest mock draft on thegamehouse.com. But they just took Brian Brzee. Adebawore is kind of in between whether he's an edge or whether he's a defensive lineman, so that makes it tough. I do think the value is there where you could take him or even Keon White. Sam Laporta is also a good option. I'm going to go Trenton Simpson because he's probably the best linebacker in the class. Him or Drew Sanders are battling it out right now for that spot, but he's more of a true linebacker. Sanders kind of moves around. They have Leighton Vander Esch as a linebacker. They have Damone Clark. They have Jabril Cox, but I really don't think anything stands out. Vander Esch played better than I expected after that neck injury. He's kind of haunted a little bit of his career, but you might be looking for more of a long-term issue. Dan Quinn, getting a linebacker there might be good. All right, so next pick number 90. Let's go with Tucker Kraft, the tight end out of South Dakota State. Let's scroll down to make sure there's no one else left that we may have missed. But Tucker Kraft helped South Dakota State win the FCS championship last year. And we have Dalton Schultz leaving. I don't think it's a huge loss for the Cowboys. I think his productivity came from so much focus coming on other areas of the offense. Tucker Kraft is a guy I think you can plug and play right away. It might be best to still sign another veteran tight end somewhere in the draft. I think that could, sign another veteran tight end somewhere in free agency, just kind of help out with the depth. But Tucker Kraft could be a guy who really develops well. This is a very deep tight end class, so getting one in the third round who can maybe contribute year one, very, very good deal. All right, pick number 129. I think wide receiver might be a look. I mean, Michael Gallup did not have the season they expected after he came back from that injury, and getting Brandon Cooks is good to go with CeeDee Lamb. But I think in this day and age, we need 3 wide receivers on a team. So I am considering Jaden Reed. Xavier Hutchinson is also, in consideration. Running back, too. I mean, you have Tony Pollard on the 1 year for the franchise tag, but you might want more of a banger. So to me, this is coming down between Sean Tucker and Jaden Reed. I'm going to go Jaden Reed. Made some highlight reel catches at Michigan State. I think he can provide a lot of value in an offense. Again, he can play in the slot. He can play outside. I think he can be a really good pick for them. And I think the Cowboys, this running back class is so deep, I think they can get someone later to kind of maybe be more of a bruiser or provide some more versatility to that offense. It is saying they need cornerback in this team needs section. They do need some depth, and that's something that maybe they'll address. But they got Gilmore, they got Trevon Diggs. Their two outside corners are set. So we'll see what we can do here, though, at maybe another position. Oh, some good running backs here. I think that's what they would do if this was the situation. Eric Gray started his career at Tennessee, then went to Oklahoma. Israel Abanikanda, a really, really good season last year for Pitt. And then Deuce Vaughn is just a game-changing player in space. I mean, you get him the ball in the passing game, running attack, you get him on the outside or in the open field, and he can do some damage. I'll go Israel Abanikanda. I think his running style might complement Tony Pollard's a little bit better. I do think he's a guy who can be productive at the NFL level, maybe take over for Tony Pollard if a long-term deal is not reached. And you know, you can still get Deuce Vaughn, you know, if you want, if that's your preferred thing. But you have two smaller guys, two guys who aren't maybe the best in terms of providing that bruising running attack. And, you know, I think that's probably why they go Abanikanda. All right, so the next pick up, there is definitely some people to consider here in terms of offensive tackle, if that's where they want to go. They have Tyron Smith coming back, restructured his deal to bring him back at left tackle. Terrence Steele returning at right tackle, so maybe not there unless you want to go for depth. Which, you know, at this point in the draft, pick 212, you probably are going for depth. But let's go Keitrell Clark, the cornerback out of Louisville. I think he can play in the slot a little bit, which is important when you have those two outside corners. And I think that's good to get that depth there. It obviously fills the team needs according to the mock draft database simulator. And that leaves us with our last pick of the NFL draft for the Cowboys at pick number 244. A lot of options here as well. And let's get some edge depth here. Let's go Jose Ramirez. He had a really good season for Eastern Michigan. Obviously, we don't see these guys a lot of the time, but he had a really good season for them. And I think can provide that edge depth that you might need. And let's look at our results overall. We have Brian Brzee at number 26. Also considered Bijan Robinson if he falls. I think that is something they'll consider. And you might have Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones fighting over the draft card to see who they put in at that rate. But Brian Brzee, not the greatest season this past year, but fits in with one of the biggest needs right now on the defensive line. Then you get Trenton Simpson at linebacker. Really helps that defense as one of the best linebackers in the draft this year. And also, I mean, you think about, even if Leighton Vander Esch does play and has another good year, they need someone else, a linebacker, maybe not second round, but they at least need someone else. So Trenton Simpson there. Tucker Kraft, South Dakota State tight end. Really could open things up for that offense, I think, and maybe in ways that even Dalton Schultz couldn't. So I think it's good to take him. I still think they might need to go a free agent route and get some serviceable tight end to kind of help move Tucker Kraft along on his NFL journey here. Jaden Reed, a wide receiver who can create highlight reel plays, maybe step into the lineup. Yes, they drafted Jalen Tolbert last year, but he really didn't make an impact. So you're looking for someone maybe who provides depth or maybe can take over for Michael Gallup if he can't really return from that injury that he really didn't do too good of a job of returning from last year. Israel Abanikanda, again, Tony Pollard's their starting running back. Get some depth in case he leaves. Get a guy who can maybe handle some more of the bruising running back duties. Abanikanda is maybe not the biggest back or anything like that. He's not going to be, like what Zeke was in terms of a bigger back who can kind of pass pro and everything. But getting another running back, I think, is important in this draft class. Keitrell Clark out of Louisville. For him, the slot, I think, is going to be a really good spot here. Can maybe battle for a spot on the roster because of that. We know that they have the two outside corners. That's really good. And then Jose Ramirez, a very productive edge rusher, will battle for a back of the roster spot for the Cowboys. Overall, I do like this draft for the Cowboys. I could see where people may not like it as much as I do because of maybe going Bijan Robinson. So make sure you let me know down in the comments. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter. It is on the screen there at the Tulio Joe for some more NFL draft content. So, yeah, I think it's a good draft overall. We'll continue doing our mock draft series over the next month until the NFL draft. For now, thanks for watching. We'll see everyone next time.